Title: Caught in the Act. Here's how I reacted. Had a gut feeling something was off, snooped her phone, and there it was. Spied for a few days, and sure enough, they planned a hotel meetup on Saturday. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's feeling good. Hope everybody's doing well. We're back with another story, guys. I'll put the link to this in the description like usual. You guys read the title. Let's get into it. So the title is how I handled it, and it's under the surviving infidelity reconciliation part of Reddit, so let's go ahead and get into it. So he starts off with, I found out my wife of 20 years found herself a younger boy toy, a 20-something coworker. It's funny. They think we're not going to feel something different going on. I sensed it right away. Yeah, for sure. Like, you gotta trust your gut, you know? Like, he felt it, he moved on it. It sounds like he's gonna move on it quickly. But, let's continue. Unlike many people I've read about, I did not ignore my gut. I tried to never ignore instincts in any situation, especially when dealing with people. Absolutely, I'm the same way. Got the feeling something was off, snooped her phone, and there it was. Spied for a few days, and sure enough, they planned a hotel meetup on Saturday. As I expected, she came up with a story why she had to go out to some boring work thing that Saturday, so I said, sure, no problem. Yep, I gotta do something for work. Oh, I gotta set some work up for work. I gotta work longer hours. Sure. I made sure my iPad was charged, and that Saturday, before I tucked it in the back pocket of the passenger seat in her car, sent the kids to my sister, saying I had errands to run. Then watched where the iPad was going. First to a restaurant, not one of our usual spots, then, like a cheap cliché, to a motel. It was only 20 minutes away, so I headed out. It didn't take long to stalk the motel, to figure out where they were. What I couldn't believe is that it was one of those disgusting cheap motels that will rent by the hour. The hookers and junkies motel, the kind of place she turns her nose up to. Well, that shows what that young guy thought of her anyway. I knocked on about a half dozen doors and found theirs. A man was asking what I needed from behind the door. I said, I need to speak to my wife. He said, she's not there. I said, fine, I'll wait here in front of the door for a week if I have to. After a couple of minutes, she comes out. She looked like she was in total shock. I was just asking her, are you happy? Is this what you want? Fine. You're an adult, have fun. And then I left. She was calling after me, but I ignored her. I was crushed and knew I was going to cry, but no way I was going to let her see that. She left there immediately and went to her sister's. I was still watching where my iPad was going. Later, she called and told me we got married so young and she was confused about what she wanted. I said, you don't have to be confused. Do what you want. The marriage vows are broken, so I'm going to do what I want. I know this isn't recommended, but it worked for me. I ghosted her in our own house. I was always polite and cordial but not loving in any way. I created a Tinder profile and started dating. This crushed my wife. She had several emotional breakdowns with uncontrollable sobbing fits. She begged me to stop and let's go to marriage counseling. I said I liked her idea better and that I was enjoying myself. I wasn't hiding in the shadows like her. I was doing my business in the light of day. I was doing great on Tinder. I keep myself in shape, I'm educated, make a great living, and I'm honest and kind. I had no problem getting dates with very nice and attractive women. I told them exactly what was going on in my life because I didn't want to be dishonest. And of course, boy toy dumped her because his wife found out, and she and he were trying to work it out. I told my wife to hit Tinder up and find herself a new guy. This would send her into crying fits. I never cried in front of her, and I never begged her. Of course, what she did hurt me horribly, so I sedated those emotions by moving on. Ended up dating and being intimate with several beautiful women younger than my wife. This was destroying her. That confusion of hers was long gone. She wanted us. I did too, so I stopped dating, and we went to marriage counseling. Oh man, so now we are long recovered. This was several years ago. We don't dwell on the past. We talk about it openly. She was asking me once if any of my girlfriends were better than her in bed, and I replied, oh yeah, one of them was amazing. I then explained how she was amazing and how my wife works those things into our repertoire. I think the thing that snapped her out of it so quickly and had her begging me was how easily I can move on. She knows that I have no problem ghosting her and can be dating someone else a couple of days later. Say what you want, but it worked for me. People have been asking me if I have mind movies or feel inferior to the other man. I say, of course not. He's the kind of creep that has hookups in cheap motels with aging married women with self-esteem issues. Is that all he can score? No, I'd never feel inferior to a dude like that. If this happens to you, maybe give this a try. An unconventional approach maybe, but it worked for us. Wow. Let me give my thoughts. I'm going to be honest. I definitely was not expecting that ending. I was expecting him to kind of, like, the story for me last night. I thought he was just going to, keep torturing her until he eventually left. But wow, this one was different from the story yesterday. It was, he tortured her for a bit, rubbed it in her face and all that, and then got back with her. I would love to see an update on this. I checked to see if there was an update. There was not an update. But I'm going. This is another one I'm going to write down and just keep you guys posted if there's going to be an update, because I'd like to see, what happened afterward or what's going on now or, what's going to happen in the future. So, wow. That's pretty interesting. That's very interesting. It is weird how, she was super okay with messing with somebody else, going to cheap motels, that she's totally against. And as soon as he starts branching out, it's a total issue, and she starts chasing him. Isn't that weird how that works? I mean, but if it worked for him in his life is great, and he's happy, I can't tell him what he did was wrong, If it worked for him, it worked for him, In that situation, I probably would just walk away, even like the story yesterday, the guy stayed for a year, and he's just torturing his wife, making her have, backdoor sex and all that stuff and just torturing her and everything. I wouldn't do that. I would just leave. But it's easier just to walk away and have a great life and focus on yourself. But I'm not mad at people who do stuff like that. I'm not mad at both of these stories, and if this worked for him, hey, kudos to him. Also sounds like he smashed some of her friends too, because she was asking him, let's see right here, she was asking me once if any of my girlfriends. Oh, any of his girlfriends. Okay. But she said if any of his girlfriends were better than her in bed, and I replied, oh yeah. Savage. He's a savage. He is definitely a savage. But, let's check out the comments. Someone's calling out something he said. I think the thing that snapped her out of it so quickly and had her begging me was how easily I could move on. Then he says the ability to move on is critically important. If you can't move on, you're done. It's often the only car the BS has in their possession that they can win with. The affair will continue for as long as the wayward spouse wants it to, and they are in complete control until the betrayed spouse can move on. Then everything changes. It's not unconventional in knowing what to do, but it's unconventional in that fear drives betrayed spouses to not act, delay acting, or deny what's actually happening. Unfortunately for them, Wayward sees the beast doubts in desperation and deleverages this debilitation against them in sinister and cruel fashion. The BS is hanging on for a future that appears to be changing before their eyes, while the WS is planning for a future without them or engaged in activities that unknowingly will change the future of many. It's hard to see and read of the pitiful posture BS are reduced to. Same thing happened to me, by the way. I was less direct about it as I was engaged to be married, and we lived separate. But once the affair was confirmed, it confirmed me. It confirmed for me I was moving on. Mind you, I loved my fiancée unbelievably so, but I wasn't going to allow her to destroy my life. So I took control immediately. First, I ghosted and detached, then recovered my confidence and normalcy followed by dating. Fiancée tried to reconcile for 18 months, but unfortunately for her, I found someone who I'm now married to. I didn't seek her, she just fell into my lap. Had my fiancée not cheated, I'd be with her. Her loss, such is life. Someone else said I did something similar but had no intention of reconciliation. Eventually, she left on her own once she realized it was really over. Worked for me. Yeah, that's what happened with yesterday's story, guys. It's like he was just trying to get her to just leave because he was like, there's the door, there's the exit, take it or whatever. But this guy, he did it. I don't even know if his intentions were to work it out. He clearly just said, I don't care, and he moved on. And eventually, I guess he just gave in and saw that she was really, really scared. But I don't know, man. She might do it again because even though he punished her, you still ended up rewarding her in the end. But I don't know, we'll see. Someone asked that guy to give his story. Someone else said interesting. Interesting approach. I think it's rare for someone to move on the way Op did. Most people feel vulnerable in the sense of loss that makes it impossible to move on, and OP's straightforward, logical but also cold manner. And on that note, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments. I'll put the link to this in the description like usual. Man, this was different, and I wasn't expecting that. But it's interesting. Let me know what you think about this, and I'll catch you guys at the next one.